I'm Jen and welcome to my studio. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that I've noticed is an issue. I have, if you guys didn't know already, I have my own tap companies. I have two of them. I have Noise Complaint Tap Dance Theater and I have Rhythm Theory Tap Ensemble. They're very different companies, but one thing that they have in common is that they both tap dance. So one of the things I've noticed in both of my companies, as well as all the classes I teach, is that when I tell my dancers that they have to practice a dance so that they know it, or that they have to practice like a rudiment that I gave them so that they know it and so that it's in their feet, it's occurred to me that maybe they don't know how to practice, because that's not something that we usually teach. Like, we don't really spend a lot of time in class on teaching our students how to practice. I come from a very unique perspective on this, and that's why I think it's like giving me a good insight to be able to share, which I'll get into in a second. But really, I think that we spend so much time giving the choreo, showing the step, and letting the kids like try it in class, or letting my company like absorb the material when I teach it to them. But I don't think they know like how to effectively practice it on their own at home, so that when they come back to the next class or rehearsal, it's like in there and it's comfortable, you know? So I actually come from a music background more than a dance background. I have danced since I was 4 years old. But for most of my adolescent life, I wanted to be a musician. I played viola, I played guitar, I played piano, I sang. I wanted to be a musician. And one of the things that I noticed that they taught me in music that we don't teach much in dance is how to practice. Sorry. There are books on how to practice. There are like methodologies on how to practice for music, but there really isn't that much for tap dance as far as like what I'm sure that there are, but I've never been shown this when I was younger. And I think we're skipping this part of like how to practice when we teach what we teach in class. Now, some teachers, you might be going over how to practice, and that is awesome. Please keep doing that. But just in case you're on this channel because you're trying to learn for yourself, or maybe this is something that like you were never taught too, I figured I could share this insight. So one of the mistakes that my dancers are making, let's say in Noise Complaint, because we just had practice 2 days ago, and I was like, hey, so make sure that you know these dances. And one of them said to me, yeah, I make sure that I watch the videos and I run the dance a few times before rehearsal. And I was like, okay, but what about like practicing the dance? And they're like, what? That's not practicing? It's not. Running the dance is not practicing what's in the dance. So when you play an instrument and you have this whole piece that you have to learn, let's just use a piece everybody knows, Canon in D by Pachelbel, right? Even if you don't know that you know that, trust me, find it on YouTube, play it, you'll be like, oh, that song, that wedding song. Yeah, I swear everyone knows that. The violins have a lot to do in that song. That's the it's like incredibly a lot. The cello, not so much. It's a running joke in the music business that the cello on that song is laughably easy. It is 8 notes the entire time. But you better believe that they practiced those 8 notes. But the violin part, so incredibly difficult. They can't just run the song 5 times and then they've practiced and now they have it. Because what if there was something that they made a mistake on during the 5 times that they run it? They're just gonna repeat the mistake every single time that they run it. The first time, like, okay, let's set this up. You're going to practice. Let's say I'm a violinist, I'm playing Pachelbel's Canon, and I'm gonna go to practice. I run the song once. After I run the song, or maybe during running the song, I make a little note on the paper of all the places that I made mistakes. That is step 1. You run the song and you figure out where your troubled spots are. Then you isolate each one of those troubled spots. So let's say one of my issues is the da na 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 na, that run. Like that run's giving me trouble, and I go, okay, I am going to slow it down and practice each one of those notes by itself. Then I'm going to speed it up, try it again, speed it up, try it again. And then once I have it, and I'm like, da, 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 and I'm like, I got this, right? Then I take a little bit that happens before that. Sorry, you guys are left to right, I'm facing the camera. I take a little bit that happens before that, and I take a little bit that happens after that, and I add it on. So now not only do I know that phrase really, really well because I went over that phrase, I worked on it piece by piece, now I have the transition into the phrase practiced and the transition out of the phrase practiced, because as I've said many times on this channel, sometimes it's not the choreography that gets us, it's the transitions that get us. So never mind playing an instrument for a second, even though tap dance is an instrument, let's talk about tap dance. Let's say if you've ever seen a noise complaint show, you probably have seen, like, we have a dance to My Song's Know What You Did in the Dark by Fall Out Boy, right? There is a section of that dance that is so unbelievably difficult. And when I give that dance to somebody, if I say, all right, we're gonna do this, if they just like practice that section at speed over and over and over again, they're gonna keep muddying, I don't know what the word is, that phrase up. It is so fast and so intricate. And it really needs like a dedicated, okay, I'm gonna work on this slowly and then speed it up and then speed it up and then speed it up until I have it 10 times in a row without thinking about it at tempo. And then add the beginning, add the phrase before it, add the phrase after it to work on the transition so that even though you know that piece, you're not blindsided by the fact that you have to get into that from like a one-footed wing or whatever it is. You know, you've practiced getting into it from whatever you finished with right before it, and then you practiced getting out of it into the next phrase. There is a piece of a solo of mine. I have a solo to Out of My Mind. I think it's by B.O.B. I actually don't remember. I think. But it's Out of My Mind. It's one of my favorite solos. It has a very, very intricate part. I'll do it. It's... yeah. Or that. See, this is what practice is for. You have paddle, roll, paradiddle, dig, spank, heel. Full lap, heel, toe. Shuffle, ball change, heel, stamp. I think. I'm pulling this out of like something I haven't done in weeks, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, spank, step, heel, step. That's what the end is. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7. That doesn't seem that complicated when you just look at it, but it is so incredibly complex and like having your weight in the right place. So if you just like try that 5 times without really focusing on how to get into each part, it's going to be muddy and it's going to stay muddy. It's just going to be like garbled a little bit, you know? But if you focus and go, okay, let me practice that. Now I'm remembering not to do the heel on the paddle roll and putting the weight on the heel after the paradiddle. I have isolated that section. Now, I know to keep my weight in the left foot. I'm gonna add dig, spank, heel. Okay, cool, I got that. Ooh, I hesitated on my weight. Let me try that again. Now I'm also focusing on making sure I hit the accents that I have to, because if I hesitate on my weight on that heel, I didn't hit the accent that I needed to. So we have 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Okay, I'm ready to try adding the next part. Ooh, that's tricky. Let me just take that next part and focus on it. Where do I put my weight? Ah, it goes right there. Now I'm going to take that and try to do it right after the other part. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6. Then I do that a bunch of times till it's comfortable. Then I add the next part. Then I add what's right before it and what's right after it. And then I have practiced that section and I have worked on mastering that section. Doing a dance at tempo with the music 2 to 5 times before practice, before rehearsal, that's not effectively practicing. Did you practice? Yes. Did you probably make very similar mistakes every single time? Yes, because when you do those mistakes, you need to isolate those mistakes, work them out, and then keep going. It's like, okay, weird analogy, but hear me out. It's like brushing your hair. So you're brushing, and then you come across a knot, right? And your brush gets stuck, you have a knot, but you just kind of like brush it, keep going. You go back over to this side, the knot's still there, you brush through it, keep going. All right, you go about your day. The knot's still there. You did not effectively work that knot out. You have to get in there. I say this as somebody with the most knotty hair ever. You have to get in there and you've got to work that knot out or it's never going to come out and your hair is never going to your hair's going to break, to be honest. But that knot's never going to come out if you don't sit there and try to get it out. Again, this is coming from somebody whose hair gets really, really knotted all the time. So hopefully that analogy made sense. But the best thing that you can do, if you're a musician, if you're a dancer, if there is a piece that you're working on or some kind of even a step that you're working on, isolate the part that's giving you trouble. Work on that, then add what's around it. A pullback is a great example of this. So we practice our pullbacks, right? I have my students practicing their pullbacks and they go, okay, all right? And they just keep practicing, but it's not changing. And I pull them aside and I go, what are you doing? And they go, I'm practicing. And I said, no, you're doing pullbacks over and over again. Do you remember how I told you to practice them? And then they roll their eyes and they look at me and they go, one thing at a time. Nobody likes to slow down. I've noticed that, especially not the kids. They don't want to slow down, but you do have to practice it one thing at a time. Take a pullback, break it up. You have, the first part is that. The second part is where everything goes wrong, because this is the hardest piece. You have a pull on the left and switch to the right. And then the last part, you step down. A pullback is those 4 sounds. That first part, nice and easy. Second part is where the issue is. And then, where I don't fall over, you put your foot down. That's the last sound. So you have easy, hard, easy. So take the hard part and work on it. Practice that part. If you find that you're not getting that clip and it's more of a scrape, then you need to figure out either how to lift before you slap the ground, or if you're working on them from a flat foot, putting your weight kind of here, putting your weight more toward the back of your body so you have the leverage for your toe to come up before you hit. So this has turned into a pullback tutorial, but you get me. So take this part, isolate it, get that over and over and over again. All right, now we're gonna add the last part. Okay, getting there. Cool, I've added the last part. I feel comfortable. I did it 10 times. I feel comfortable. Now we're gonna add the first part. And now you're practicing. Now that's gonna stick. Now that's gonna be the exact same way you did it every single time. Because you didn't just run through it and hope for the best, or run through it so that you remember the sequence of the choreography without working on the steps that are not coming out as well. You took the sections that gave you trouble and you gave them attention and you focused on them. And then you added the pieces around it so that it can smoothly be put back into the dance. And then every single time you do that dance, when that part comes, you're not gonna muddle the transition. You're gonna get that part because it is in your feet now, and you're gonna smoothly transition out of it into whatever the next part is. That's how you practice. And I learned that as a musician. When you're practicing guitar, if you're like having trouble, you're going for it, and it's like the switch from the G to the D chord is just giving you trouble. You're going from the G chord, sorry, it's hard to do without a guitar, but like you're going from the G chord into the D chord and you accidentally are missing one of the strings every time. Your fingers are just not going to the right place. What you do, how you practice that, and this translates directly to dance of all kinds. You just do, don't even strum. G chord, D chord, G chord, D chord. You're just practicing the movement. You're getting the movement in your hands. You're doing it slow and you're looking at the fretboard to go, okay, this is where my fingers go for G, this is where my fingers go for D. You do it slow and you're watching and you're paying attention. Then try not to watch but stay at the same tempo. Are you getting the right ones? Is it, now you can strum because you're not watching. Are you getting the right sounds? Great. Now that you are, speed up a little, speed up a little, speed up a little bit more. Then when you're finally like, oh yeah, G to D, now add the C and the F after it, or the C and the E after it, or whatever, C and A, sorry. I'm trying to think of what song I'm trying to play. Then you add the C before the G. You go C, G, D, A, C, G, D, A. So that transition between G and D, now that you've practiced that, now you know how to do it in context. Same thing with dance. Now that I've practiced, I know how to do that out of the step before it and into the step after it. So I never have to stress about that again. And that is how you practice. And I hope that you guys found this like helpful and worthwhile. And if you're already teaching that in class, or if you already knew that, that's awesome. I'm not saying that no one's teaching that, absolutely not. Please continue to teach that. Please continue to do that for yourself. But if you're like a lot of my students, or like before they come to me, or my company members, you may not have ever heard that. A lot of my company members didn't know that you practice dance, that you can practice tap dance the same way that you practice music. They didn't know that. They still don't know that. I need to have a little reminder with them and go, okay, running the dance is not practicing. It's good to run it once you know it, but when you don't know it yet, and my choreography tends to be a little on the hard side, so some of it definitely needs like that little attention. If you don't know it yet, isolate the parts that are giving you trouble, work on them, integrate them back in, now run the dance. You will never make a mistake. Like, it won't be, okay, let me rephrase that. It'll be a mistake if you mess up that dance. It won't be, I don't know it, and this is how I do that part every time, but it works, it functions, I can get through the dance. Now you have the ability to do the dance perfectly. I think I'm hungry. Now you have the ability to do the dance perfectly, and if something does go wrong, it is a mistake. It is not a lack of practice, it is not a lack of ability, it is just a mistake. And mistakes happen, but you can get yourself to the point with all of any dance that you're given. If you practice by really, really focusing on the pieces of it and then building those pieces back into the story, if you practice like that, mistakes will just be mistakes. They will happen every once in a while. You will know that dance. If you're a competitive dancer, if you're a performer, this is how you can get a dance to the point where you don't gotta stress about it. You know it. All right, I hope that this helped. I hope that you guys found this so worthwhile. If you want more videos like this, please let me know. I'm going to be sending this video directly to every member of my company to remind them, hey guys, practice does not mean running the dance. And then they'll be like, oh right. And I'll be like, yeah, but let's practice together. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun giving you guys this technique vlog Tappy Talks thing today. I don't know what to call these anymore, but I had a lot of fun with this. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and join the Tap fam. I've got whatever this is, Tappy Talks technique videos, how to practice. I've got videos like this. I've got choreography tutorials, technique exercises, step tutorials, vlogs, challenges, all kinds of stuff on this channel. It's all free tap dance class and it's all for you. So please subscribe. The more subscribers I have, the longer I can keep this channel going, and I want to keep this channel going forever. So please subscribe and also hit that thumbs up, because practice makes better. It doesn't make perfect. Doesn't even make permanent sometimes. That's a good phrase too. Practice makes permanent. Trust me, I can practice today, but 3 years from now, I am probably not going to remember that dance. Practice makes better. Practice makes improvement. Practice, intentional practice, makes inability become just random mistakes, because the ability is now there. So, anyway, thumbs up. It's lunchtime. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but like my stomach's like grrr, grrr, arg, and I'm like, I know, I'll get there. All right, thumbs up, subscribe, practice, and as always, thank you for dancing with me.